Finding scale factors in dilations. So let's see what we're working with today. We have dilations. They're a type of transformation that changes the dimensions of a figure by a scale factor. Remember, dimensions are the measurements of the sides. There are two types of dilations: an enlargement, which means the figure gets bigger, or a reduction, it gets smaller. We have a thing called a scale factor. It is represented by the variable k. It is how many times bigger or smaller an object gets. Okay, so our first example says, calculate the scale factor k when line AB is 3 and A prime B prime equals 6. So you have these two pictures. Now to find your scale factor, you're going to set up this ratio as you see right here. Let me go like that. Okay, so here's your formula for finding scale factor, new over old. So I went ahead and remember my new measurement is the measurement that has the prime on it. So I took the 6, took the 6 and put it over the old, which was 3. Then I simplified that, and once I simplified, I got 2 as my scale factor. So what you want to know, if you notice, look at the picture. The scale factor was 2, and the picture was this short little length, and now it became this bigger. So keep an eye out on the scale factor. The scale factor was 2, and the figure got bigger. Now when you're finding scale factor, you don't always just have to find the scale factor from side lengths. Let's see over here. So a scale factor can also be found by dividing any image new x or y coordinate by its original old x or y coordinate. So let's see here. We are given A at point -2, 3 and its new point at A prime of -1 and 1.5. We're going to calculate the scale factor k. So you're going to choose both x or y coordinates to set up in the ratio new over old. So in the first one here, you can see I did my x coordinates. I took my new x coordinate, which was -1, and set it up over my original coordinate of -2. Simplify that, and you get a scale factor of 0.5, or you can leave it as a simplified fraction of 1/2. The second example, you can see right here, I used both y coordinates. So take the new y coordinate and place it over the old coordinate, as I did right here, new over old, simplify it. And if you notice, okay, I got the same scale factor. That's because we're talking about the same point. Just I got two different numbers here at the original part because here I used my x coordinates and here I used both my y coordinates, but my scale factor ended up being the same thing. Just make sure you don't mix up using an x point and a y coordinate. That won't work. It has to be both x's or both y's. Continuing on. So the things to know about scale factor. Well, scale factor is represented by the letter k. So when you see it asking what the k is, that's the scale factor. Remember, scale factor is how many times bigger or smaller the figure gets. Now in enlargement, the picture gets bigger. That's when the scale factor is greater than 1 or greater than 100%, because sometimes it gives it to you as a percentage. If it's written as a fraction, you will see it as an improper fraction. So when you see an improper fraction, that's referring to an enlargement. And then for reduction, well, the picture gets smaller. The scale factor is less than 1 or less than 100%. And when it's in a fraction setup, if it's a proper fraction, that's a reduction. So remember, as I mentioned before at the beginning, here we had a scale factor of 2 and the line segment got bigger. Then when we had this one, the scale factor was 0.5, or the proper fraction of 1/2. So this, yeah, you can't see it on the graph, but if you saw it on the graph, you would see that it was a reduction. And the last part here, if you have a scale factor of 1, which they may try to trick you sometime, or 100%, the image stays the same. Okay, so scale factor is how many times bigger or how many times smaller a figure gets. So if you have a scale factor of 1, it's getting 1 times bigger, which means it's not changing at all. Now before I go on, I want to make one other note. Remember, your scale factor formula, to find scale factor, you set up a new side over its corresponding old side, or the new coordinate over its old coordinate, both x coordinates or both y coordinates. So new over old is something you want to remember. Okay, so last, there's an example. I'm not going to really go through it, but you give it a try, and then if you read through the bottom over here, it gives you some tips working through it. Okay, well, good luck with this assignment. Don't forget, scale factor, it's the new measurement over the old measurement. Simplify your fraction, or it's going to be both x coordinates or both y coordinates, setting up the new coordinate over the old coordinate. Good luck.